All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us here today. We've got Derin and CJ from ANS Mermer, and it's wonderful to have them. We're on Raising the Grade podcast, and we off camera were just talking, and CJ actually asked me the question to start off. Yeah. So he's a big guy. I don't want to say no. So ask your question again. What was your question?
My question was, how did you come up with this podcast idea? Why did you feel like you wanted to do something like this to begin with?
Sure. For me, it was kind of a business decision, right? So I don't necessarily love social media and everything, but one thing I've always kind of liked is YouTube, because on YouTube, I feel like you can watch videos and kind of get to know people a little bit better than like the short form stuff. I wanted to, and I have a belief that YouTube is kind of the next thing. Yes, I think that YouTube is going to be where people are at. And so I wanted to kind of dip my toes in there. I didn't know how to do it because I don't have the free time yet to like go make long form installation videos or anything, or the manpower or the money, frankly. And so I wanted to kind of have something out there. And so this is it. So, and then I thought by being able to highlight guys like you and my other guests are people who I feel like are doing something a little bit different, or they're really knowledgeable about like their space, you know? So, really raising the grade. Thank you for asking.
Sure.
No more questions. No, usually I do try to keep it, guest facing or guest focused for the opportunity just for you guys really to be able to share this and use this if you want. Cause like, I don't think anybody's like going to come on and share this because of me. So I think it's fun to have guys like you in here. That's why we're doing it.
That's perfect. Yeah. Let's go.
Let's go. So we almost always start off with like a tough question. And so since you asked me the first question, I'm going to ask Derin the first question.
Okay. Sounds good.
Buckle up.
Tell me just a little bit, like brief history of you. Who are you? Where'd you come from? How'd you end up doing this?
Yeah.
And what is this that you do? Nobody's going to know.
Exactly. No. So my name is Derin Uras. My dad is Jem. My mom is Alice Uras, and they started a family business in 2007.
Okay.
And we had a retail location. So my dad's Turkish, just like CJ.
Okay.
Got some Turkish blood in me.
Okay.
And, you know, he took an entrepreneurial risk and started a business with a partner in Turkey. Opened up a shop here in Phoenix. And in the 2008 housing crisis, there was a big pivot. So we had a pivot from retail to more of a business to business focus.
Okay.
And basically what we do nowadays is just import Turkish natural stone for hardscaping applications. I mean, I grew up in the business, so I was a lot of people like yesterday, a friend of ours, mutual acquaintance, he's known me since I was a little tiny kid in the industry. Just walking around in the warehouse.
That's fun.
During the summers, in between school, I would go and help.
Isn't it fun when your parents have a business that you can be a part of? Like, isn't that a unique scenario?
No.
Okay. Wait. All right. Go ahead.
I think it's a great opportunity. For the most part, it's a good opportunity to learn, kind of have the ability to see the different facets of the business.
All right.
But family dynamics can be difficult.
For sure.
And when you know, worldview doesn't align or vision doesn't align, it can be difficult.
Fair.
But it's a trade that I think I'm learning to make when it comes to the opportunity to work with my brother, my mom, my dad. Now CJ's with us. So grew up in it for a while. And after college, after graduating from ASU.
Okay, so you're ASU, all right.
Yeah, full time with my parents. My brother's been in it for almost a decade now.
Yeah, like 12 years.
CJ's been with us for 5 years here now.
Cool.
So, and you know, it's funny because a job that's not a passion initially has turned into like a passion of mine.
Wow.
You know, like I think for both of us.
That's really fun.
Falling in love with the natural stone industry has been really cool to experience.
That's really good insight, because like, I feel like, I mean, a job can be a job, right? But you can also, it's weird because most people would tell you, go do what you love. And just, if you're not doing your passion, you shouldn't be doing it, you know, but there is a flip side of that coin. And that is that you can kind of fall in love with something over time that maybe wasn't an initial like, yeah, I'm going to go do this. You know, maybe you want to be an artist or an engineer or a chef. I don't know. But like you're in this thing, doing this thing. So it's fun to hear that. And it's not just kind of like, I get it. Like do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah. But also I'm kind of where I'm at. No, I'm serious. Like
it's not
I don't,
for me.
I don't,
it's not for me at all.
Oh,
like
how
I
fun.
resemble this to a relationship with your partner.
Okay.
You don't love your partner at first sight.
Okay.
Right? Then you get to know her.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're falling in love with it.
Fair enough.
Right? That's how I see it.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's completely different because I get bored really fast.
Okay.
So that's why, like, even though I do what I love, I'll get bored if it is a job.
Okay.
So there is no such a thing for me to like do what you love and it's not a job anymore. It's always a job for me.
If it's a job, it's a job.
It's a job.
Like don't get it twisted.
No changes.
I love the honesty.
Because right now, for example,
honesty.
I love playing video games.
Okay.
And I'm good at it.
Okay.
My wife knows about it and she watches me all the time. And she tells me like, why don't you become a streamer?
Sure.
Like just share what you have, the clips and all that.
What's your name?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
So I'm doing all this and sometimes she's watching me. My friends also tell me the same thing. But the thing is, if I do it full time, I'll get bored so quick.
Yeah.
And I won't do it again because I feel the obligation is there.
Yeah.
And when you feel like you're obligated to do something, then it's a job and I don't want it. So that's why like, no, it's my hobby. I'll play it on the side sometimes, you know, when I have time. But no, this is my job.
Put the thought in there to those things to be able to manage those things correctly.
Yeah.
So that we keep a happy CJ. Well, it's your turn. We segued really well into this. Can you give me a little bit of your history?
Yeah.
How you ended up doing whatever it is you're doing and what you do for them.
Sure. My real name is Çağrı. It's so Turkish and it's hard for people in the United
really
States
hard last night.
to pronounce. So I go by CJ here, which is easier for everybody.
Sure.
Even he calls me CJ right now. So I'm like, okay, that's really good.
When you're mad at him, you call him Çağrı.
Yeah.
No, right now, everybody, when I tell them my real name and the way it's kind of like written in English letters, it's pronounced as Kagri. Okay. And I hate when people say it.
Okay, well, I'm not going to say it. Don't worry.
Everybody calls me CJ and I love it. I want to keep it that way.
Got it.
So I started in different industries and I used to work with my family. Okay. My family has a shoe shop where you can go and buy whatever you want. The shoe, the pants, the sweaters, whatever you like. We have that all in our shop.
Get fitted.
And I have a brother too.
Okay.
He's older than me, just like he is.
Okay.
So we used to work together and I worked with them every summer for 15 years.
Okay.
I hated every second of it.
Okay.
That's why I told you when you ask, like, is it fun to have a family job? And do you guys ever? No. Okay. Absolutely not. Because
see, I loved it. I grew up doing restaurants with my parents and it was, I mean, I hated it sometimes, but I thank them now for the work ethic that they instilled and just the kind of, you know, continually working. And then it's made me who I am. Your floor.
Yeah, I can also say the same thing. It changed me so well because I told my father at one point, I don't want to work with you. I'll leave and I'll never come back.
Okay.
He said, don't say that. You'll come back. It's there's a hard life out there. I'm like, I'll take whatever the life offers me, but
what
I'll do
words is that?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had to stay in my friend's couch for 3 months before because I said this.
Good friend.
So I first started with a shoe business in Istanbul, different from my family.
Okay.
Then
I opened up a competitive shoe shop.
No, it's not like that. We used to sell shoes like all over the countries, different countries. So then it was so distant from where I live, so I had to like quit the job. So I found a new job, which is in a textile industry. It's completely different. Okay. One day you're selling a shoe, and next day you're selling like a prom dresses. Yeah. It's like completely different from one another. Yeah. And then I had a customer of mine. We were really close to each other. And one day he told me, hey, I'm opening up a shop in LA. Do you want to come with me? I want to hire you.
Big change.
I'm like, I always wanted to come to USA and work in the USA and live in the USA.
Can I ask tried why? What was the drive? Just to
because of these guys.
Okay, because are you guys family? No.
Kind of.
Like
we
family
are.
friends. Like
Almost.
we've known
Okay.
each other for
Long
Like
time.
when I was
family
10 years
friends.
old,
Okay, cool.
they came to Turkey.
Okay.
And our summer house where I was born, I
Okay.
was living in that small town.
Oh, how fun.
So I have my aunt's house, and
Mhm.
all the summer I spent my summers over there.
Mhm.
And they have a summer house right next door. It's
Okay.
like 2 houses right there,
Heck
right?
yeah.
So
Stories building.
when first Kent, his brother, and him arrived, I
Okay.
am their first friend.
Okay.
So we built a relationship over the years, but
Mhm.
Turkey is like a different country
Mhm.
when it comes down to technology and advancement.
Sure.
Whenever we come up with a toy, they
Mhm.
had a better one.
Oh, no.
So
They show
I
up
was
from the
like,
States
these
with like,
guys
yeah.
are coming here with
Mhm.
the new toys that I've
Mhm.
never seen in my life.
Dang it.
So I have to go there and experience it myself, right?
Okay.
So ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to go to
Okay.
USA.
Okay.
I always wanted to see how their life is in here.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, I
then,
think even LA is way different than Phoenix.
Yeah.
So.
well, before LA, I went to New York. In
Wow,
2015,
that's right.
there was a program called Work and Travel.
Okay.
And I participated in that program. And I
Mhm.
came to United States in 2015 to
Okay.
New York. And I had to work for Six Flags Company.
Okay.
And then I loved United States. I
Okay.
said to myself, I have to come back. Because I was a student back then at a college in Turkey. I had
Mhm.
to finish
How fun,
that,
man.
and then I had to do something with my life.
Yeah.
So, long story short, that customer of mine hired me
Mhm.
for his shop in LA.
And what were you doing there? What was the shop?
The shop
Like, what
was
kind of
basically selling prom dresses.
Okay, that's where that
Right,
happened. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay,
So
cool.
I came to LA. The guy told me that he's gonna try me out for 3 months first.
Yep.
So we gave it a try. It didn't
Mhm.
work out.
Okay.
We couldn't get along with the wife.
Okay.
And I had to leave.
Always
so
a hurdle.
I picked up the phone. I called Jem, his father,
Okay.
and I told him, "Hey, Jem, I want to stay in here in the
Mhm.
United States. Can
Mhm.
you find me a job so I can stay? I
Mhm.
need a sponsorship."
Yep.
He said, "I'll look around." And then 5 days go by, and then he calls me back. He says, "I want to hire you. It's a little dirty job. It's not like what you do right now. But if
Mhm.
you like it, you get to stay. I'll be a sponsor."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll give it a try." So I came here. I stayed with his brother for 3 weeks,
Mhm.
and we worked together.
What were you doing?
I didn't like it at all
Fair.
because I was making sample boards. It was all
Mhm.
the stones, heavy stuff.
Yep.
I didn't like it at first, but I didn't have any other choice.
Fair.
So I'm like, I'll do whatever it takes, man. I
Mhm.
want to live in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 weeks go by, and I told Jim, "Hey, I want to stay." And then we kind of like sat down, talked about everything.
Yeah.
And then I went back to Turkey, got married,
Mm-hmm.
and then came back to the United States and started working for these guys.
Okay. Cool.
So ever since
long
it's
ago
been
was
5
that?
years.
Okay, so 5
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And then, what are you doing for them? What are you doing
So
for
when I
ANS?
first started, I was just a yard guy, standard yard
Yep.
guy. I didn't know anything. I didn't even know how to drive a forklift.
Mhm.
They taught me everything in here.
Mhm.
So after a year, because of COVID happened, I couldn't receive my official documents
Sure.
completely. So I had to go back to Turkey for 3 years.
Okay.
Like it was essentially 1 year, but because of the COVID postponed everything,
Mhm,
put it backwards. So I had to stay in Turkey for 3 years. When I was
Was
there,
that tough? After
It
you kind of
was-
like got the taste and you're like, I'm doing this thing. And then
well,
it's like,
I realized that it was going to be a good opportunity for me because I
Mhm.
was going to make dollars
Mhm.
and I get to know what the Turkish side is
Yeah,
for
yeah,
this
yeah.
business,
Ah,
right?
fair. Yeah.
So I learned a lot. in
were you
Turkey.
doing something similar in Turkey for like the 3 years
No.
you were there?
Well, I
Okay.
was going to the factories
Mhm.
and quarries
Mhm.
and quality controlling everything for ANS.
Oh,
So I
let's
was a
go. You got an
quality
inside
control
man.
manager. Yeah,
Okay.
I was a
This is
quality
cool.
control manager.
Okay.
We had some ground up relationships in Turkey, so I
Mhm.
had to improve them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like when I first
Well, there's
started,
nothing like a face on the ground. Like
yes,
you can't beat
yes,
that,
like
I
when
think,
somebody
you
says
know?
ANS, everybody knows me in Turkey, right?
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's a flex.
Because Jem
right
built
there.
something
I like
for
that.
10 years and we didn't
Yeah.
have anybody in Turkey
Yeah.
for that period
Mhm.
of time. And then when I joined, when I came on board, I was the first quality control guy
Mhm.
in Turkey for
Mhm.
this company and
Mhm.
nobody knew me.
Yeah, sure. So,
So
you got to go introduce
I-
yourself to everybody
Exactly.
and everything. Okay, cool.
And I started building relationship with all these people over the years. When I first started ANS, I think we were working with 8 or 9 factories. Now
Mhm.
we're working with 25 to 30.
How cool. Do you know one thing I'm kind of curious about, and maybe you can speak to this too, is there like, so there's like this mix of travertine and limestone that I'm used to seeing at most of the spots. Is there a ton more out there that just isn't popular here?
Yeah. There's
so many.
So Turkey is actually like the global hub for natural stone. It's like when people think about natural stone, either marble or granite, they think Italy for the Italian marbles or Brazil for the quartzites. Turkey has one of the largest natural stone reserves in the world, and it has over 620 different types of stone. Wow. So there's 120 different like unique types of products that come out of Turkey. And then each one of those stones has variations, has grades and different selections within the quarry. So there's over like 620 different variations that we know of today. But then people are still digging and finding new.
Yeah, you want to go dig quarries. Up a mountain that hasn't been dug up yet. You might get different colors and different impressions, different shells that are fossilized or whatever.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stones that exist. For the hardscape industry, there are a handful. It's around between 30 and 40 different types of stones that are suitable for hardscape application. For the longest time, travertine has been known as the natural stone. So when people go out and they say, hey, do you want a travertine deck? What they really mean is, do you want a natural stone deck?
True.
And then they have a white limestone or a travertine, like an ivory or a walnut. Silver is really popular. But nowadays,
out here.
We're seeing a lot of the trends moving towards marbles for natural stone hardscape as well.
Outside.
Outside,
I think I've only done one. So tell me more about that. What's happening? What do you see happening there?
Well, back in the day, marble was brought in, but the finishing process, because it's called a honing and finishing process, that left the marble really slippery because it's so dense.
That's what I was going to say. It's like you're just making like, an ice skating rink in my opinion. So you got a pool, you hop out of the pool. Keep going.
So this marble is so dense and it's not porous. It's not a porous stone like a travertine or a limestone can be. And the finishing process left it really slippery and hot. When it's more dense, it gets hot and it stays hot. And over the years with the technological advancements, especially with manufacturing processes in Turkey, new finishes were introduced, like the sandblasted finish, or the leathered finish, which is basically sandblasting it and then and then brushing it so the color comes back. And that really provided two things. One, the physical change to the surface of the stone, it doesn't retain as much heat. And the second thing is it provides slip resistance. So, and then the colors of marble are beautiful. There's so many different colors.
I'm coming to your shop after this.
I'm
sold. I'm excited.
It's really like Turkey is known for the marbles and the light ivory travertine, but the world of marble is just phenomenal. There's so many beautiful stones, and now we're seeing a majority of the trends towards the marble finishes.
Duly noted. I'm coming by. I want to stay on top of curves and trends and things like that in my business. That's another reason why I'm doing this. Honestly, you asked that earlier, and that's kind of the second fold of this is it's for me to learn and grow. I want to be better. I really do. I don't want to just be Joe Contractor. I want to do some volume. That's great. But I really want to be ahead of things. So I'm going to come by and check out some marble. Have you done anything on the kind of like the education or the installation or something? Like, I feel like if you're an inspector or you're kind of like helping out with grading and stuff, maybe like there's some nuggets you could share for like us contractors. Like, what do we look for? Like when we're in a shop.
In Turkey, when I first went to Turkey for quality control purposes, I've met a lot of people from different companies. So like there are so many companies in Florida. And I think it's the heaven of travertine and marble and all that right
I agree.
Now. That's Florida, right? And they also have quality control teams in Turkey. So when I go to a factory, they're always there. So I go observe them, see what they do, how they quality control it. I get to meet them. I talk with them. They're still my friends. Like even my competition, the quality control manager of that competition is my best friend.
That's really cool.
So we get to know each other. We'll
There's no harm in
from
that.
one another.
I like that.
So there is a rivalry here, but there is no rivalry in Turkey. Like because you go to the factory, you share your information with that guy. He shares the same information with you.
I want to go.
We don't want to screw over to anybody. Like we don't want to screw anything.
Sure.
Right. So that's how I learned everything in Turkey.
Okay.
I asked a lot of questions. I asked the factory manager. I asked the production manager. I asked the owner.
You're a curious cat. I can tell.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
It's like you're getting to the bottom of it.
I asked all the possible questions that I can ask to those guys, and they taught me how to do it. Cool. Because if you do it from the like a long version of this, it's like you have to go there, you have to open all the pallets and quality control them one by one. And in our case, we're bringing in 3-piece.
I mean, that's unrealistic.
There are so many pieces. You cannot just possibly go there and check every single one of them.
I agree.
It's impossible, right?
Yeah.
So they taught me how to look at it from outside, how to like kind of see if something is wrong, if the factory did something wrong. Like you can kind of like see it from the outside, and then you can kind of like dig into a pallet. And then you can see if in the middle of the pallet if something is wrong.
I've had that happen. So I'm sorry, I cut you off. Tell me a little bit about what am I looking for as a contractor? Like what are some red flags for me? Or like what are some things where like, hey, maybe I should be cautious of? Maybe if I'm unboxing a pallet. I had this happen once with another supplier where I had like 4 pallets of, I forget what it was. It was a white something or rather. It was a white limestone, but like it was very brittle. It was like, I don't want to say the name, but it was very brittle. And so like in the middle of my pallet were all these broken pieces. And out of like the 3 or 4 pallets, I almost sent a whole pallet back. But they were good about swapping it out. But like, I'm glad my guys stopped and said no. But like, does that happen sometimes? Or what are things I can look out for like to not have that happen?
First of all, you cannot work with somebody that you don't trust.
This is true.
That's what we found out in Turkey. Like when he was talking about travertine and all these other colors, just imagine one light color comes out from one region.
Yes.
And it comes out from another region as well.
Yeah.
So there are like so many different regions and so many different cities. Just imagine light is mining out from
this is a great
Phoenix,
point, actually.
Right? And then you can also find the same color tones from Vegas, from NA, from New York City, because there are so many different quarries and stuff all across Turkey, and you can find these colors, not different, but same tones in all these different factories. But guess what? If you want to work with the factory who gives you a cheap price, they're probably going to screw you over because when you buy a 3-piece pallet, like a Roman pallet or whatever, they make sure that the top portion of that pallet is flawless. It's like perfect.
Like, yeah, that's one-on-one.
When you dig down, you're going to find all the broken pieces, all the bad pieces, and all that stuff. So when you don't have a quality control manager or any type of guy in Turkey to do that quality control for you, you cannot buy material from cheap factories. They're going to screw you over.
Are you still actively going back and forth?
Yes, and we still have a team in Turkey.
Yeah, I visited Turkey with you guys. Yeah,
that would be so
fun. Every April, like in the springtime, there's a big show in Turkey that happens. So last year I had the opportunity to go with my dad. This year, I think either CJ and my dad are going to go, maybe my brother Kent as well, because there's a lot of things that are changing and moving. But I think like a quick hack for you guys on the field, something that you guys can always look out for. Like one of the biggest things for us is calibration. So thickness,
true.
Right? If we like, I haven't experienced it. I've heard from installers like you that thickness issues are really a big deal.
It can happen. I've had it on one job.
It can happen. So we have a tolerance with our factory partners of plus or minus 0.5 millimeters. Other factories range from maybe plus or minus 1 millimeter. And even some don't have quality control managers who are checking the thickness. So
they're just like,
a great way to see like that specific problem outside of getting a piece that's good and then putting it next to a piece that you think maybe is thin, like side by side, you can check the pallet itself. And if the pieces aren't level on the top of the pallet and there's a column that's shorter than another column of pavers, that's a good indication that either that there's a calibration issue. If there's something wrong with a styrofoam that they packed, maybe, but if everything else is equal and the pallet is not evenly flat, that's a good indication that there's a calibration issue. And I'd question that pallet.
It's a good sanity check right there.
There are always going to be broken pieces.
I mean, it's natural stone. Let's not kid ourselves.
And it's
either.
coming across the world too.
It's going across rough seas. I get all of that. I prep my customers for that. But at the end of the day, like if it's going to take a whole bunch more work to make a patio, level because of, inaccuracies stone to stone, that's a problem.
Exactly.
If I've got to burn a day or a half a day to like sort through a pallet and then send the chip ones back and get a new one, like even though it happened and they took care of it, it's like, I don't want to do that. Like the less of that I've got to do as a business owner, like the better at the end of the year.
From a supplier's perspective, because we're not on the field, on the jobs all the time, we're wholesalers. We sell to these big construction supply companies and they're selling those materials to you. So for us, it's imperative that we get that information back so that we can do our job and quality control in Turkey. So that's a part of this transparent supply chain. If there's an issue, we relay it to us.
I think contractors are good at complaining. So I'm betting you probably get
we get
fair
that
share.
Yeah, we get that fair share. But we want to take that information and take it back to the manufacturers in Turkey so that everybody has a high quality product at the end of the day.
I love that.
Like to continue answering that question, if you look at the pallet and see that the top is flat, but when you open it, if you see like little styrofoams that they put to make it look like it's flat on the top, right?
Yeah.
When
they
you see a pallet,
they shimmed it to make it look like it's supposed to look.
Just don't buy it from that person anymore. Okay. They're just tricking you to see that there is no thickness issues, right? But when they do that, it means that there's a lot of thickness issues. And they're covering that problem with putting the little styrofoams on the pallet. And it's crazy. It's it happens all the time. That's why I was trying to tell you that don't buy a cheap product who is offering to you from the cheap factory. Because they're going to do this. In Turkey, there are so many different equipments that they use. And some of them are from Turkey, some of them are from Italy, and some of them are from China. The ones that we get from China, they're not the best. But some of the factories, most of the factories that we're currently working with in Turkey, they have the Italian ones. The Italian ones are the best.
They know how to make equipment, bro, period. Like everybody knows this too.
So when they calibrate the material, it's almost perfect all the time. We also go there we just don't go there when the material is being produced. We always go there in the process too. Like I go there when it's cutting from the big saw blade, when they cut it from that, I kind of look at the raw material and try to anticipate what's going to come out from that raw material.
Wow.
Because the factory owners always give you the amount of excuses that you cannot even guess. They're going to tell you hey, we didn't receive the good raw material this time. That's why this material is a different selection. To be able to understand, you have to look at the raw material first, right? So I would always go to the factories and try to see what kind of raw material they're using and what kind of machinery they're using. If they're using a Turkish one or Italian one, I would always try to control the calibration when it's coming out from the machine itself. So if you identify the problem in the process, your job is way easier.
For sure.
But if you try to look at it when the material is being produced completely, then your job is really pain in the ass. Because you have to go through all these pallets and stuff.
It's too late, right? Yeah. You got to go all the way back.
Exactly.
Something else to look out for, just to touch on the question of, hey, as an installer, as a contractor touching these pieces, what should we be looking out for?
Yeah.
Something that's not talked about a lot is filled travertine pavers.
Yeah.
So filled travertine, there's nothing inherently wrong with filled travertine as long as it's inside. The reason why it can become an issue with outdoor applications, especially in our market, is that the UV and the natural freeze thaw and environmental exposure it has, the clay fill will chip over time, it'll disintegrate, and it will reveal the hole in the travertine. So you might say to yourself, oh, this piece of travertine looks perfect. It's so smooth, it's so dense. But in reality, there's a big chunk of it that's been filled with clay and hardened.
Okay.
And so something like we can kind of come up with pictures to show you what that looks like. Typically, it's orangish color. And
they're using a lot of different filling though.
A lot of different
types of filling too.
Okay, so
they're filling the inclusions. So we bring in material. There are different grades of stone. So for example, he was talking about.
Can you tell me what they are, maybe?
So you have a select grade. Basically, the raw block is produced. And the first thing that a quarry owner wants to do is sell the block. It's the least amount of work that they have to do.
Amen. Sell the whole cow.
Just sell the whole thing on a container, send it to China so they can chop it up into mosaics, whatever they need to do. The second biggest thing that a lot of these people are looking for is slabs. That's why natural stone, granite, marble, we all know about those materials for countertop applications.
For sure.
After
we're
that,
gonna talk about that too.
That's like the creme de la crop in terms of quality.
Okay.
So as we come down in quality with the more, whether the block is not a perfect block, so you can produce a slab out of it, or if it has some inclusions or holes or veins that are maybe sub quality for a slab,
kind of questionable,
then it'll be turned into smaller sizes like mosaics, or in our case, pavers.
Okay.
So when we think about, and it's also a color thing too. A lot of these stones, a specific color is the top on terms of grading, even if the quality of the stone is the same.
Like a silver. Let's use silver,
like a silver
as
exactly.
an example, because I've seen like 3 or 4 different. I mean, this is just what I've seen, but I've seen like 3 or 4 different silvers, and one's like really light, and then another one's like really got some, I think, cool dark veins that really go through it.
It changes from quarry to quarry.
And there's even that like that is
there are so many different
like when you're
variables.
gonna add on to a patio, like it's hard. Like you got to go hunting. Be difficult.
Yeah.
You got to go hunting.
It can be difficult, but to answer the question is that there's a select grade, then a premium grade, and then we get into the standard quality, and then after that it's commercial grade. So we as ANS, we tend to stick towards the select for products like the silver, for example. Where there's a very limited quantity being able to produce. And then we are almost always in the premium category.
Cool.
We do a lot of business with construction supply companies who are working with pool companies. And
they push a lot more product.
In the pool arena, because of the exposure to water itself, you need the highest quality stone possible.
I'm glad you said that, and maybe you guys can speak to this, because I feel like everybody around here's got a pool. I mean, it kind of like 1 out of 2 homes, I would say, in Arizona has a pool. It's just got quality of life out here. It's hot all the time, and so you're going to want that. And so if the travertine is always getting wet, like doesn't it like have the potential to erode more quickly if it's a lower quality stone?
Exactly.
Okay. So then maybe I'm getting more sold on this marble angle. I haven't even really considered it, but how does marble perform maybe next to the pool, since it's so dense and stuff, compared to like travertine or limestone?
Yeah. There are pros and cons to all natural stones.
Sure.
One of the main cons of the marble is because it's so dense, it has it's less likely to absorb waters or other minerals. So it doesn't erode as quickly. But because it's so dense, when it gets hot, it gets hot.
Yeah, fair.
So it's not as cool as, let's say, like a limestone. Right now, white limestone, very
probably
popular.
The coolest product, right?
It's the coolest to the touch.
Okay.
But it's the most absorbent. So it's the highest maintenance. It's the stone that just sucks up everything like a sponge.
Okay.
So you have that pro and con. Travertine is a good medium ground. That's a great entry point. Because it's dense. It resists a lot of a natural erosion, especially with pools. It has some natural inclusions, which are good for slip resistant applications.
Yeah, sure.
It's a good price point. It's affordable. People know it. People trust it. It's very well known. So there are pros and cons to it all. And it's also an aesthetic choice too. A lot of the marbles are cool colors or creams, blues, ice whites. Not a lot of like the more modern cool tones are marble colors. And so you have that aspect as well.
Yeah, so you've got to look at these things from so many different angles. But I mean, I think in summary, I'm almost hearing like this old adage that seems to keep coming up on a lot of my podcasts. And that is, you get what you pay for.
Get what you pay for.
Whether it's going to be labor, whether it's going to be material, sending CJ back and forth to Turkey isn't free, and paying professionals to do professional work and kind of raising the grade in the industry ultimately costs a little bit more money.
Absolutely.
You really can't have the best and the cheapest unless you're willing to wait a long time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, guys, awesome. Really shedding some good light here for me. Tell me a little bit about install. What are some things? Maybe I'll turn this over to you. I don't know. Don't care. Maybe somebody's got better install knowledge. You guys can fight about it. I don't care.
I believe.
What are things to do and not do for install?
I mean, I recently took a class of installation, but it wasn't mainly on Travertine. So I have to pass it on to Derin on this time.
Cool.
So if I find something that he's not telling you, if he's missing something or anything that comes to my mind, then I'll hop in and try to participate.
And so I just want to preface this. Yeah. I haven't taken the ICPI certification either yet. And that's definitely a part of my learning journey as well.
Same here. Full disclosure, I'm with you, brother. Let's take it together. We'll go watch Nolan teach.
Get certified. I'll start installing Travertine pavers, but so I'm also learning as we go. One of the things that we want to really get across to both homeowners when they're buying natural stone and also contractors when they're installing it is to not use quarter minus as a base layer for that stone. The main reason is because natural stone is porous. It's kind of hard to think about, but stone is kind of like a sponge. There are micro pores and inclusions in the stone.
Think about it like a gray rock, and you pour some water on it, like it's instantly black. Like it just sucked it
will
up.
Absorb the water, and that water will go through the stone. It's a great benefit to permeable pavers, semi-porous materials. When that water gets to the base layer, whatever's underneath it also gets wet. And if it has a ton of minerals, if it's a certain color, if the water can't go anywhere,
it needs to keep moving down.
It needs to keep going
to drainage and get out.
Moisture that stays in the same location, regardless of what industry it is ripe for issues, whether it's mosquitoes or mold or degradation. You don't want moisture to stay where it's at. You want it to flow. And quarter minus retains the moisture, and it has a lot of minerals that get absorbed back into the stone and can change the color.
I'm going to pause you really quick for anybody watching that doesn't know or anything. So quarter minus, when we talk about that, it's a rock that's quarter inch. It'll pass through a quarter inch screen, or the minus is less. So you can get all the way to just fines, just literally dirt. And out here in Arizona, it's either like bright pink, red, or like a tan, or sometimes a dark tan. So we've got these beautiful, light ivories and these other colors and stuff. And so continue on your point of what can happen.
So if you're a homeowner and you're in the process of buying stone, being aware of what they're using as a base layer is important. And here's the thing, quarter minus is cheaper than another product called AB, right? AB and Sandset. That is the creme de la crop in terms of installation. AB and Sandset is more expensive.
A little bit, not much.
It's the right way to do it.
Yeah, it's the right way to do it. It's a couple extra steps. It's not a big deal.
Yeah,
it costs a little bit more.
And most of the contractors that we work with, we make sure that is the case, because when there are issues that arise, if it's not installed properly, that's not on the stone. That's not our.
You can't help us.
We can't help. Yeah, it's not our liability or responsibility. So we really, this year especially, are doing more of a push on educating on the front end, so the consumer and the contractor knows what they're getting into. So
I love it.
AB and Sandset is the way to install natural stone.
Well, you guys have got an invite to come back in a year then, for sure. We'll do a checkup and see what's changed, what you learned over 2025. That'll be super fun.
Absolutely.
I really like that.
I love that.
What's your favorite product? Like what is it that, like, when you've got $20 million in the bank and it's time to go build that mansion, what are you putting around your pool deck?
We always ask this question to one another.
Okay. And it's different every week. I saw this great one. Like it's
so hard to pick. Are you asking the question like all the material that we're bringing in from Turkey, or all the material that I know that's getting produced in Turkey? That's a different thing.
We should stick to what I can sell my customers.
Okay.
Yeah. No gold-plated unicorns, please. Yeah.
I would definitely go with Aegean gray. My favorite one is Aegean gray.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's like a gray-based marble. It's so dense.
Okay.
And it has some black movements in it. Like when you put it on a deck, it will have this unique look.
Okay.
And that is my favorite one right now, because when you walk on it, even if there's like a heavy traffic on it, it's not going to get stained and it's not going to get that dirty.
Okay.
Because when you go with the lighter colors, like white cloud is one of our choices. When you go with the white cloud, you have to power wash it every once in a while, because it's a white marble. It's going to get dirty.
Are we good to power wash all these? No problem.
So here's a quick caveat as well. Products that have been sandblasted, it's a physical change to the stone.
For sure.
So essentially, for those that don't know, the sandblasting process is when they have like a big vat of sand and they shoot it at a stone, or you can do it at metal or different materials to change the surface of the product. And with stone, it creates these little micro craters, which changes the color. It typically lightens up the stone.
Bit,
it'll give it a physical property, so it's slip resistant.
Okay.
When you power wash
pools.
it's great around pools. And I like showing. It's hard to describe this, but I like showing customers when they come in, if they have kids, especially, to get their hand wet and just put it on the stone. You're like, just imagine your the feet of your baby, like walking around or running around the pool, like footprints in the snow.
I thought you were gonna say you had kid races and they were both barefoot and you made them run across a wet. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's like, which one's more? This is how we test our slip resistance. When you have kids run across.
You're
them.
bad. Why'd you say that?
So with the sandblasting, if you power wash it directly with high pressure, it will change the physical composition of the stone.
Nobody's told me that yet.
And it will create streaks.
Okay.
So, and it depends on the stone as well.
Sure.
Some materials react differently to sand than others. Like this Aegean gray, for example, reacts much differently than the blue stone.
Okay.
Because in marble, sometimes it's just not marble. It's sometimes it's a quartzite marble. If it has quartz parts in the marble itself, when you sandblast it, that quartz part doesn't get sandblasted as much as the other side.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have to arrange your machine in a specific way to be able to make all these pieces look alike. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of hard to generalize this, but when you look at stone by stone, you can kind of decide then.
Essentially, what you don't want to do is high pressure water directly on the stone. It's not like cleaning dirty concrete outside. It's more of a light power wash, 45-degree angle. With the hose.
Rotating ones, it's like the push around. I'm thinking that's probably a win. They have big discs that have different batches of pressure washers that are just spinning to help not be in one spot all the time.
Yeah, that could help depending on the pressure. And again, it's very dependent on the stone as well.
Sure. Is travertine kind of the softest of all of them?
No, limestone is the
really.
Limestone is
I was told differently, so that's good to hear the clarity.
Limestone's dense, but it absorbs a lot. So it's a dense stone, but it has a lot of moisture absorption. Okay. And there are the white limestones that we bring in from Turkey are not the hardest limestones in the world.
Yeah, because they can have different grades.
They have different grades.
Right?
It even matters if it is if it is getting mined out from the top of the mountain, or the bottom of.
This makes sense.
Yeah. So it has a lot of variables. It comes down to a travertine like that too. Like if we are working with a lot of quarries in Turkey and at one mountain, imagine a big mountain. One company has the top portion, another company has the medium portion, and the other one is having the bottom portion, right? You always want to go with the top portion of the things, because if you don't go to the top, then you're going to get sandy material. Okay. Because just imagine the water goes from top to the bottom. The sand goes with the water to the bottom.
Wow.
So when the material is being formed by the lime inside of the water, the lime stays, right? So we can have this dense travertine, but when it goes down and down and down, and finally it stays, the sand stays too.
Okay.
So that's when you get the lowest grade material.
Okay.
So we always want to work with the quarry owner who has the top portion of the mountain itself. And when it go down, it's same thing with limestone. If you buy limestone from the top quarry, then you're going to get the denser stone.
The best
than from the bottom ones.
Wow. I had no idea. Yeah. Thank you.
I
love these little nuggets, man.
Yeah, there are so many different limestone quarries, so many different. Let me tell you this. Did you know there is a hot travertine and cold travertine?
No. What are you talking about?
There's a hot travertine.
What does this mean?
Cold. It means that in one of the areas in Turkey, there's a city called Denizli.
Okay.
It's really popular with this hot water. The hot water comes out from the bottom of the ground. Okay. Right?
Spa.
So it's kind of like a spa water.
Yeah.
So there are all these mountains that we have hot travertine that is formalized by hot water.
Okay.
Back in the day.
Do we have any here? Are we selling any of that here?
Yes, of course.
Cool.
And we have another city called Karaman. And from that area, you can only get cold water travertine.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, what's different about them?
The difference is the density, I would say, and the color itself.
Okay. Yeah,
just
like the
color of Karaman light is actually lighter than what we are receiving from Denizli area. It's kind of like different.
Okay.
And when you go to Karaman, you cannot just see a full mountain of travertine. There's only a little parts. On the base, there is like one big roadblock you can get out of that mountain. It's not like a full mountain you can kind of mine out. But in Denizli, there is like a huge mountain that you can mine. But in Karaman, there's only a little bit. So it doesn't go down, it doesn't go up. There's only just one layer
little strip
of the cold water travertine. But when you go to Denizli, there's travertine on the ground, there's travertine in the mountain, there's travertine everywhere. So it's kind of like different.
That's insane.
So there are so many small details like this and the travertine and natural stone business.
Yeah, I think you could just kind of get lost in it. And it's fun to hear you guys go off and just kind of like blow my mind because there's so many aspects to, just landscaping. I have, travertine and limestone and natural stones and flagstones to consider and concrete pavers to consider and porcelain to consider. And they've all got some features and benefits and visuals and different things that people like or don't like, but even just in one market, and I know when I've had my concrete guy on here, they're all manufacturing a little bit different and their ratios are different. And some people have had better success than others. So it's really, I'm just, again, so thankful because you've really opened my eyes to just how many different facets to this there are. Let me ask this. Do you guys have actually, I don't know. Can we talk about what you're doing around a pool right now? Or is that off limits?
No, we can definitely talk about that.
Okay. So
a new phase in our company is custom radius copings.
Oof.
So
cool.
Basically, what this entails is
barbecue tops too,
and barbecue tops. Okay. So for the longest time, especially outdoor living spaces, it's hard to get the travertine or the marbles in big sizes, and so we developed a 24 by 75 inch piece, which is like a strip of stone, and a 36 by 75 inch piece, which allows us basically to template different sizes. So it gives us some flexibilities. The big difference in this manufacturing process is that we're able to we can do like a very long radius out of one piece of stone.
Yeah.
Right now, for example, we're working on a feature of a big infinity pool, and that feature is just like almost a 3 foot wide semicircle, and we can basically pie cut a 3 foot piece out of this slab.
Yeah.
Instead of having 60, 90 pieces that are pie cut and grouted, you got 6 pieces.
Yeah.
That all fit that spa. Spas are a great application for this. The bond beam of a spa is typically like 16 inches.
Yeah.
And we can basically do like a 12-inch interior radius to a 18-inch piece on the back end. For example, we have these custom spa copings that were prefabricated 8 foot wide spas that are all perfectly pie cut and fit the spa perfectly.
So cool.
The barbecue top is an interesting one. We were talking about this last night, and it's the perfect in between.
Yes.
So on the one hand, you have your affordable option, which is 12 by 12 pieces, or if you can find 18 by 18 tiles right on the top of the barbecue. And on the other end, lots of grout lines. You got the waterline tile, different stones, not always matching. So you got that on the one end. That's the most common.
Where we're getting started. That's our starter.
That's your starter. That's a great option. It works.
Yep.
It looks beautiful. Use natural stone. And then on the other side, you have the granite countertop, right? And it has to be the specific stone because it can't react to UVs outside.
We don't want any epoxy in it.
You don't want any epoxy. It's very very particular outdoor countertop living space. Very particular.
And generally darker than lighter, I think is what I've heard. Because and the lighter ones, I think they're putting a lot more epoxy or filler in versus the darker ones.
So
in granite, but
in the granite, and it's hard to find.
It's kind of spendy.
It's
frankly.
spendy. It's more expensive.
You're gonna have to pay for the slab. You're buying a whole slab, whether you're using some or not. And if your barbecue is a weird shape, you might be into your second slab.
Exactly.
Those aren't cheap. And then you've got
fabrication.
Well, you've got templating, and then you've got, so that's kind of a time delay a little bit, and then you've got fabrication, and then you've got install. So
exactly.
I just quoted a barbecue. I got a referral from my good friend Josh over at Barbecue Island, and my sales guy Jaden's out there meeting with him right now. I think I want to try this. I think I want to try what you're about to talk about for this customer, because we looked at solid stone and he's like, oh, is there anything we can do? And it's like, well, we can downgrade the level of grill you get to stay in your budget. But if you want this top, boom. So I think it would be so awesome to propose what you're about to tell him, and he can have the grill he wants to.
We haven't come up with like a name for the offer.
This is so cool.
But it's right in the middle.
Yep.
It's using our 36-inch by 75-inch slab. And we thought about this long and hard. My dad's been in the industry for a long time, and 36 was the right number because those barbecues
32,
are 32, 33, and you have a little bit of room for overhang if you need it.
Yes.
And it's wide enough where you can cover a lot of distance. Most of the time you might need two pieces to cover that, but essentially we take a template of your barbecue, and honestly, we don't even need the template. We just need dimensions.
We can cut it.
You can cut the pieces if you want to cut the pieces.
Because it's manageable.
It's super manageable. Yeah. So we have a saw in our facility. We have bullnosing machines in our facility, so we can fabricate.
That I kind of like.
We can fabricate to a certain extent. We don't do install.
Would you fabricate so what size are they again? 36 by...
The slabs that we're talking about for the barbecue application are 36-inch wide by 75 inches.
75. Okay, so bam. That's awesome. Can you bullnose all sides?
Absolutely. We can. What I like to tell people is we can profile to a lot of different. So you could do like an OG
or a Roman or different things you might see in a countertop.
We could.
Maybe
we don't.
Or when you say profile, what do you mean? I'm sorry.
That is what I mean.
Okay.
So the profiling is, so like a bullnose is the most common profile.
That's just threshold. For anybody. That's just a round over.
That's just a round over. Like that's when you hear copings. It's kind of what you're hearing out. It's a full rounded piece. We can do. So something that's been trending is a soft edge, or what we call
that look like?
It's just a modern edge. So it's like a 1/4 inch round on the top, softens the edge up, keeps it straight.
Oh yes, I like this. Almost nobody can see it, but this table just has, instead of just a sharp edge, it's just you've knocked it off. So it'd be like an 1/8 inch round over instead of like a 1/2 inch or a full bone. Okay,
exactly.
Cool.
1/8, a quarter.
Yep.
We can do a 45-degree bevel, top and bottom.
So we have all the knives for this.
We have the
ready to go.
We have it's a lot of the custom stuff when we're talking about the barbecue. I do by hand. So I have a hand router. I have my hand Makita. So it's like a custom fabricated piece, except that instead of a huge slab, it's a couple of bigger pieces. So for the same, for example, we're doing a barbecue that. We're going to take one of these slabs. We're going to chop it up into a 3x3 piece. So 36 by 36. And then there's a back sliver on the behind the grill,
which is typical.
And that is 8 inches wide. And it's about 30 inches long. And then there's a right hand sliver, 8 inches by 24 inches. And so from this big slab, we chop it up into 3 pieces. So instead of getting 36 odd pieces with a ton of grout lines. You get 3 pieces with 2 grout lines, and the customer wants it bullnosed on the edge. So
I love this.
We're going to take the slab, bullnose it, chop it up, package it up, and he can install it. We're getting into the install, but that's kind of
how long do you think this process takes? So I need to know when to work you guys in. I'm totally doing it on this one. When, so do you the barbecue's got to be built, and then I say, hey, I got this, or I could probably plan. I could just plan and be like, this is the size we're making it, cut it like this.
Exactly. That's the beauty of this, this strategy here, is because if it's straight, if it's super intricate with a lot of curves and stuff, that's when it becomes difficult. That's when we need a template.
Yep.
But if it's a straight rectangle barbecue, you give me the dimensions. Hey, I need a 36 by 36 piece over here. I need this sliver over here and this sliver over here, and I want a bullnose on this, and that. And
what's the turnaround on something like this?
Right now, we're looking about like,
because people are listening.
Sure. Yeah. The goal when we're fully like running is a week turnaround for custom stuff.
I think I could
for something like this. I mean, we can do it relatively quickly, especially if the contractor's aiding us in, hey, we need.
I think I would just plan ahead. Like this sounds like a walk in the park.
And in fact, we just received our slabs today.
Yeah.
We have 3 colors available in the 36-inch option.
Okay.
We have the Aegean gray marble.
Somebody had some input here.
Yes, sir. The walnut travertine, which is good for walnut colors and dark colors.
Yep.
And then the light.
All the taupes and everything.
Dude,
you nailed it. You got the colors. So you've got like just a light cream kind of ish color goes with everything. A walnut that goes with all the tans and the browns and the reds and everything. And then you got that dark modern, that's currently in stock. Downtown Scottsdale.
We have bringing in more.
For sure.
We have our full collection.
I like that you thought about it like that though.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in addition to what he's saying, we always
keep that thought.
Sorry. Okay.
No, keep that thought. Okay.
Okay.
Are these going to correlate? So like I could have the same pavers tops. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so in addition to that, we also have a small factory in Turkey that does all the projects you ever dream of. Like they have all these last technology equipments and stuff like that. They're currently producing our panels, tiles, mosaics, all these different stuff.
Oh, do you guys have ledger panel and everything?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we do have everything.
All
and
in-house,
if you come up with like any type of mosaics, anything that you see online and you want to get it, just let us know. We probably have a connection in Turkey.
How cool.
That.
Yeah.
So we have this friend of mine. He's doing the statues from natural stone. He's doing like sinks from natural stone, bathtubs, right? Like one bathtub from Rosa Levanto. It's a marble that comes out from the east side from Turkey. It's like a red. It's really popular in the world, and he's doing this bathtub from that, and I think it costs around like $45,000 just one bathtub, but it's amazing. So we do all these different stuff in Turkey also. So if you have like a high-end clientele that wants like completely something strange and different, just let us know, and we're gonna get it done from Turkey.
If somebody thinks $45,000 for a bathtub's a lot, I had a customer once that had just a $25,000 couch. Just bought it like it was no big deal. So it all depends on the customer, man.
There are customers out there for that. But to go off of what you were saying earlier, we got the pavers.
Yes.
We can do the copings. So a benefit to our facility now is that if you need corner bullnose pieces instead of mitering, cutting a 45 degree and putting that up, we can do a corner bullnose, we can do triple bullnose, we can do a bullnose on one side and a split face on the other side. So we have the ability to fabricate that.
Split face too.
All of it.
Could you do split face on these tops that you're talking about?
Yeah,
these
absolutely.
3x75.
It removes some of the material.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, we hand ship it
to build out a 30-inch barbecue or 31-inch barbecue and have split face. How much does it take off? Like a half inch?
It depends.
It's going to depend because you don't know exactly how much.
Exactly.
Off,
that one's a little tough, but
that'd be kind of fun to mess with. Or I just say, hey, just split the faces and then give me one seam all the way down the length, and then you can split the faces and I can still have my net. We waste a little bit, but it's natural stone. It's so much cheaper. That compared to granite or anything.
Got the pavers, got the copings, got the stack stone.
Okay.
We have the barbecue slabs, and the benefit to these slabs is that they're not just for barbecues. They can be used for spas pavers and everything.
How awesome would it be to just have these giant pavers? Will they work as pavers? How thick are they? They're
different? 3 centimeters.
Okay, so
there's 3 so an inch and a quarter. Yep.
Okay, cool.
We would have to special order that. We don't stock thousands of square feet of those slabs.
No, but those slabs, maybe 10 of them would get me really far. If it's 3 feet each, and it's 10, that's 30 feet. That's a good run. I'm just seeing the design now. Everybody's rectangle steps this way, and it's cool. It's great. I love it. But it'd be great to utilize single piece.
Yeah.
It'd be heavy and it would cost some money and my guys' backs would not be happy. But
hard to install, but definitely
I think
doable.
If we pull it off, I think it's gonna be sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the benefits that CJ was talking about too with this factories in Turkey, they're called ateliers, they're workshops. These people that they do walls like this wall here. And that's one of the benefits of natural stone that I don't think a lot of people talk about.
Yeah.
Is that you can do 3D applications with stone and retain the same color.
Yeah, that's really sick.
So CNC alligators coming out of green marble and a red dragon coming out of beautiful red stone.
Wood. It's wood. It's the same through and through.
Exactly.
Wood or stone. I mean, it's congruent. Like, I mean, there are so many advantages over concrete and porcelain. Yes, they've got a niche. I'm a stone and a wood guy personally. I come from Oregon and built my own patio cover all out of these big beams and everything because I love, that just that old worldness that
it's natural.
Can only really get, I think.
And stone. For like natural stone side of the things, when you buy natural stone for your deck, you're unique. Like nobody else can get the same material. It kind of like looks the same when you look at it from outside, but it's never the same, right?
It's a signature. It's a snowflake.
It's unique to everybody. It's unique to every homeowner. You cannot just go to your friend and see the same porcelain. You can see the same porcelain and you can get it done in your house. But even if you want to, you cannot get the same pieces, the same look in your backyard. That's why it's so unique to everybody.
I love it.
That's like the history of natural stone. When you buy something, it's unique to you.
And
Nobody
he says
else
he doesn't
can
love what he
copy
does.
it.
Listen to this guy.
Yeah, it's
you love it, don't you?
I love it to
there
the
we
core.
go.
Yeah,
we
I love it to the core. I didn't think I was gonna like it. I didn't think I was gonna like it this much, but it's so amazing, especially when you go to the quarry. Sometimes
that sounds really entertaining.
Let me tell you one funny thing. Okay. Sometimes when you carve, like when you go inside the mountain, there are some dinosaur fossils you can find in the marbles.
I want those.
That are like big bones. Cool. You can see like one of my friend had like a big bone, like a dinosaur bone.
Did they ever find them together, like in a bunch of them together?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and they're kind of like keeping it. They're not showing it off.
Well,
they're just keeping it
the white limestone that everybody knows and loves.
Yeah.
Another name for it is shellstone.
Oh yeah.
And it's those brown
I'm
undertones.
installing that actually on my next job.
That's fossil. Those are shell fossils.
Yeah.
That is a fossil in your stone.
Dude, you can't get that.
Amazing.
You can't. Yeah. Other stones we have, you'll see that classic snail in the stone as a fossil in the piece. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to see. Yeah.
Snail.
It's funny because it's like one of those industries that once you get in it, you're kind of sucked in.
Yeah.
And you'll find CJ, people who really love stone. You'll see, like if we go to, for example, this place here in this facility downstairs, I knew it. That lobby, I was like,
you're picking it apart.
I wonder where it's coming from. Yeah. And you got to touch it. You got to knock on it to hear the to hear the sound.
Welcome to construction, dude. I mean, it's like, and now imagine that. Like I'm looking at the concrete, who installed the lights and the, everything
and
else.
It's kind of like a disease. Like my wife always pulls me from the columns. Like when I go
over here.
You literally hug columns.
Yeah, and sometimes like when I see a beautiful house like dressed up with a natural stone, I immediately stop and I start looking at it, and I'm in the middle of the road, and like there are so many cars piled up behind me, and I have to look. And sometimes like when I go into the mall, like especially in Turkey, in Denizli, where all this stone comes out. All the malls are dressed up with natural stone, right? Like when you go in,
the value there
I'm
is
like
it's right
trying
there.
like touching it and then my wife looks at me from the outside and she's like, what are you doing? Why are you touching this stone?
Who did I marry? He was a stone guy.
It's like crazy.
Instead of a tree hugger, we're stone huggers.
I love it. That is a good one to end on.
But it's bad at some point because I remember I'm playing this video game. It's called Call of Duty Warzone, whatever.
Yep, it's a good one.
In that game, there's a map in a hotel.
You go and check out the stone in the game.
I'm sorry, I did. Like I walked in a room and
he's looking at
it in the game. There are like marbles all over the place, and I'm like getting really closer, trying to see what it looks like.
Oh, stop!
And then I die all the time. But I'm like trying to look at it. And in Warzone, there's like it's like a big map. It's a battle royale map, and there's a quarry in it.
Oh, stop!
There's a quarry.
That would be a good place for a war game.
There are like roadblocks all over the place, and they're cutting the road. Yeah. And I'm like going always over there trying to
get in the equipment. Who drives that? Like wrong game, man. We need to get you into Minecraft.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, guys, this was fantastic. I'm so glad that this went as good as it did, and I learned so much. And wow, what a wealth of knowledge! I can't wait for next year to get you guys back in here. I would like to go to Turkey with you, so invite me. I'll take my wife. That'll be such a fun trip. That'd be really cool.
It's amazing.
And just something to, bring back and help just with my knowledge set too, so we're all trying to grow. But Derin, CJ, thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
you're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Fantastic.
Thank you for having us.